Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of In the Mix with the Mitchells. I am Tony Mitchell.
And I am Sanita Mitchell.
And we are the Perfect Family Blend. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight.
Yes, we had a new time, so that might throw some people off a little bit. Normally we're 9:30, 9:15 or something like that. 9:15. Yeah. So we're a little early. So this is good. We get to go out and hang out, and everybody else gets to be off. So it's good. It's good. So it is Thursday, August the 8th, right? So
Can
it's
you believe it?
2019, which is supposed to, 8 is a significant number, which is new beginnings, right?
Yeah.
New beginnings. So we got a double new beginning going on this day, and we praying that you guys have experienced a great new beginning or whatever that might be for you, right? And so, right, you were saying that, can you believe we're halfway through 2019? And so we were like, wow. As we was talking about what we were going to discuss on tonight, it's like you're halfway through. So what have you already put down on your vision board or your goals for 2019? It's a good time now to start looking at those things and figuring out, are you on task? Are you on track to actually complete your goals? Because, like in a couple of months, you're going to blink, it's going to be October. We're going to be saying happy Halloween for those who celebrate. And then it's going to be Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year.
New Year, yeah.
Right? And so this is a good time to, get with your family and start looking at what are those goals? What are your goals that you have left to achieve, and how you guys can work as a team? Because truly getting your goals and achieving them is a team effort. You cannot do it by yourself. It's funny because, and I just thought about that, was, they always say there's no I in team, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can't get it done by yourself. So you need a team, even though you have to write your goals and you have to know what it is that you want to achieve, but you can't achieve it alone.
Right, and I think you said a very key thing is to go back to, so in January we set those New Year's resolutions.
Everybody got a laundry list of things they want to achieve.
Right, and then everyone's doing vision boards and
fizzle out by March.
Exactly.
If you're lucky, I'm giving you March, but most of you fizzle out by February.
And we set some pretty lofty, pretty big goals that we want to accomplish within the new year. And then as the new year progresses, and I mean, the new year just went just like that.
It did. Like I said, we're in August.
So you this is your opportunity, and you said this is the month of new beginnings. August is the 8th month. So this is your chance to just really go back. If you haven't written a vision, or if you've written one and you just kind of put it in the corner somewhere, it's collecting dust.
You ain't looked at it.
You ain't looked at it since you wrote it. This is a great time, just like you said, to come as a family, and then just look at where you at. And then, too, don't beat yourself up.
Right.
If you haven't accomplished everything that you set out to do. Because guess what? There's no time like the present to really start. You still have
an opportunity.
Right. You still have an opportunity. And you might not get the goal done by the end of 2019, but guess what? You could carry that momentum into the new year.
Right. I mean, you want to feel like you achieved your goals, right? So you want to have realistic goals. So, again, you want to make sure that you are achieving your goals. And, there's still, 4 more months left, in 2019. Wow, 4 months.
4 more months.
You still have 4 months left. So there are plenty of months left, because August isn't done. So you have 5 months to still get those things done. But let's just be realistic and don't beat yourself up if you have not started. So you can actually, like Tony said, begin now, and yours would just be this time 2020. Wow. 2020.
2020.
Wasn't that a movie? 2020. But anyway, so it's like, so for your year, a lot of times people may think everything got to start in January, but you can start right now, and your year would just be in August 2020. You know, you can look at what you've achieved. So anyway, we're not going to beat that to death. Just, we wanted to just say, this is a good time to reevaluate your goals. And
Right.
so one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight is talking about balance. Can you really balance ministry, business, work, family? Is there such a thing? That scale of law, can you balance all of those things together? And let's see. Oh, okay, Kimberly. So can you really balance? Is there such a thing? I don't think you could really balance like where everything is 100. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't think it could be a scale where everything is just even keel.
Right.
You gonna get 2.5 hours of my time. Your kids gonna get 2.5 hours of your time. Your work gonna get 8 hours. Like, it's not even enough hours of the day to make that an even thing. But what you can do is learn to prioritize. So I think
Say that again.
Prioritize. So I don't think you can ever balance where everything is getting the same amount of time. But what you can do is prioritize what is important. What are you going to do for that particular day? So what task, making sure, like, I'm not putting your children and your spouses on a task list. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you have to put them on, you do almost have to put them on the list because at what part of the day works best for you, right? So
Right.
you have to make them a priority. So if it's on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, they are your priority. Therefore, it's summertime. So, maybe, you're doing something with them in the evenings or when you get off work. So, for example, in our dynamics, let's just use us as an example. Tony goes out. I'm at home. I'm a working mompreneur, stay-at-home mompreneur. I don't know if there's a name for that. But anyway,
You just did.
Yeah, I just made up one, stay-at-home mompreneur, right? And so I'm home all day, but I'm also running businesses, and there's that balance. And so for us, it's important to kind of prioritize. What are we going to do for this part of the day? What are you going to do? So because I'm at home with the children, I have a daycare, which tomorrow is the last day for my daycare.
Oh.
I'm going to miss working with the babies, but we have to move on. And that is a prime example of prioritizing. If something isn't working and you keep on trying to make it work for the sake of making it work, and it's like pulling you away from your why. You know what I mean?
That's good.
So if it's something that you're doing, and when you first started it, your why was to spend more time. So when I started the daycare, because one, we ain't want to pay all that money for daycare for 2 kids.
Let's keep it real.
Yeah. Half of my check was going to go straight to a daycare center. And plus, after we lost Anaya, it was very important to me to spend time with Ari and Sam. And I had realized, because I was blessed, I didn't think it was a blessing at the time, to spend so much time with Daniel when I was not working. That's why I said I didn't feel like it was a good thing. But it wasn't a good thing because I wasn't working. And it was kind of forced. But what I learned was I enjoyed that time that I got to spend with my then newborn, who's now almost 18 this year. And I wanted to be able to do that with Ari and Sam. But as the years went by, and now they're getting ready to go to school, my why started to change. And Tony can talk and say, I was trying to hold on to Bright Sparkles, right? Because
Right.
what are we gonna do? What, I need to keep it, but it wasn't really serving us anymore. Like wasn't getting the enrollments. People were getting promoted. I mean, good things were happening to the parents. You know what I mean? Like they were coming in and getting blessed, and I'm like, well, thank you, God, for the anointing, the favor that
Yeah, that
because
they're
I
getting blessed.
because I do pray for my families. I pray for
Mm-hmm.
opportunities for them. I pray that God will do a great thing in their life. But what I didn't know was that at the same time they were leaving me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I had to really do an inward look and say, okay. And also, by not being able to go to the field trips that my children were having at school or being able to volunteer the way I wanted to, it goes back to what I said. The priority and my why for starting it was to be with them. But now this business has caused me to miss out on my why.
And I just want to say real quick,
Hey, Felicia.
when it came to the point where
I wanted to die. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Oops, sorry. Keep going.
When it came to the point where I had to have,
Sorry.
I felt it was time to have the conversation with Sunita to talk about, okay, what is the future of Bright Sparkles? I waited. And the reason I waited was because I didn't have the right temperament and I didn't have the right words.
Because
to
Tony
actually
been
say.
over it, right? He was over it. He was tired. I mean, he was already had us repaint the house and everything. And he was like, I'm tired of looking at these green, purple, yellow walls. I want it different. I want to just feel like home. So go ahead, so.
Yeah, so I was over it. But because I felt it was over, I couldn't just force her to just say, okay, on this date you close and that's it. Because it was she from the very beginning, close to 6 years.
You
or
keep adding years.
5 years.
5 years.
So 5 years
Right.
of running Bright Sparkles, running as a business, interacting with all the different families, the children that came through. And it was just something that you just couldn't just all of a sudden just say, okay, I'm done.
Right.
So I just waited and just waited to the right time to just have the conversation. And I wanted it to be her decision to make. And I didn't feel like it was my decision to make because even though I participated in the business activities, I didn't run the business.
Right.
So
it's important to know when to let go of things. Because I was clinging on, I can't close, And I was also concerned about what people would think, like if I closed it. Because, to go from having 7 kids in your house to having 2 kids in the house and then that last parent who left, again, all of them left on good terms. Like I was really blessed with great families and they all left for different reasons, putting them in school closer to their house or, just different opportunities that would show up for their children. So I've only had a handful, 1 hand, 3 fingers of like parents that I actually had to put out. You know what I mean? But even still, like once you start praying and asking God to help you to prioritize, you know what I mean? Prioritize what needs to stay and what needs to go. Because again, we were talking about balancing ministry, work, children, and marriage, right? Or relationship if you're not married. And so you have to learn to know when to let certain things go.
right.
And one of my coaches always say, if it's not serving you anymore, you have to cut it off. Thank you, Coach Sherwood. Right? So as hard as it was for me, I had to pray and God was like, let it go. Even though it was hard because, you're hanging on to, $230 a week, You add that up, it's $960 for the month to not really have anything in its place. But the priority was that this thing was pulling me away from what I was really starting it for. And so it was pulling me away. I wasn't even making the same amount of money. I was actually losing money, but I keep going. So I had to make the priority. And sometimes it's hard. We're not going to lie. I mean, today you see we are not reading from nobody's piece of paper. We're talking straight up from our life today, because this is real talk. It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. I mean, we have 3 businesses, or 4. What is I lost count. We have Bright Sparkles, Anaya's Project, The Perfect Family Blend, and that's it, right? And then, so that's enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Three businesses. And now God has allowed us to birth another one, which is going to be my virtual assistant position. Because, listen, this is the other priority. Sometimes you got to get crafty. Like, some of us are out here and we're struggling, or we are trying to find that part-time job, or we're trying to, have multiple streams of income, right? Or we need that extra income, and we are asking God, I'm applying for these jobs. Why isn't a job coming forth? Well, maybe it's not coming forth because you have what you need on the inside of you to. God says in His Word that He's giving you the ability, right, to create wealth, right? He has blessed your hands, right? And so with that, start doing an inner look at yourself and say, what are my skill sets? What is the job that I'm trying to apply for that is really going to undervalue my skill? You know what I mean? And what can I do? Is that something I can do on my own as a freelancer? Right? And just do it myself. Put my name out there, do a quick little website. And I know Sadiqa used to get on me all the time about saying something was just really quick. It's quick to me because I know how to do it. That's what she's saying. It's quick to you because you know how to do it. So if you need somebody to help you with a website, hit me up. I can, give you my contract and we can work out, how to help you do that. I mean, I'm not a major graphics artist, I'm not doing nothing like that, but I can get you a website that can get you started, that can help you get some money so that you can go and pay somebody, thousands of dollars to get your site to, I'm not saying if I do it, it's going to look horrible. It's going to be good, but, somebody who's been trained and went to classes is definitely going to look different. Right. So anyway, start looking at yourself, because when you're trying to apply for jobs, that's pulling you outside of your home, right? And therefore, when it pulls you outside of the home, then that means, again, we're talking about prioritizing our time. That means that your family is sacrificing for you to do that. You know what I mean? Whereas me doing my virtual assistant position, job, career, business, consulting, is going to be done while the children are at school.
Right, and everything just kind of happens because with you doing the virtual assistant business and being able to be able to now, it seems like, to take the kids to school and pick them up, because I just got promoted to another position. So, so God has shown favor in that regard. So now I have to be at work earlier than when I get in. So and I'm probably going to get off later than I used to get off. So, and we're starting to see some effects of that now as I begin to transition. So, you definitely, God just works everything out, and then the priorities, they're still there, but now the priority is, okay, now we're going to have 3 kids in school.
3 kids in school.
3. Wow.
Yeah. And Sammy going to kindergarten, Ari going to first grade. Day on his way he's a senior in high school this year. So sometimes we can be hanging on to stuff, and God's like, let it go. I got it. you don't know what's coming down the pike that's going to make it more difficult if you're trying to hang on to something that's not even serving you. So as your family, really sit down and think about those things that are pulling you away. What are some things that you can let go of that in this season of your life no longer serves the purpose?
Right.
So that's one way. So you're going to get rid of things that no longer are serving you or benefit to where you are in your life. And then the next thing is saying no.
Wow.
Saying no to outside things. So for those who may be serving in ministry, okay, you're serving in ministry or you're serving in your nonprofit or you're volunteering somewhere, because everything is in church. So you're volunteering, you're doing some things, and it's all good, but do you really need to be on more than one committee? Do you really need to be on more than one ministry? One or two, you know what I mean? Because it depends on what you're doing.
Right.
So in the commitment, start looking at those things and saying, can I really afford to do this extra thing? And at what level is it going to impact my family?
Right, because I can remember a time when we were serving in ministry. It was just like
Church every day.
church every day.
Right.
Go to work, church. Go to work, church. If you're not going to work, you're still going to church.
Right.
So it was kind of like, wow, this is a lot. When you just really assess it and you just wonder, why am I so tired? Why am I so lacking energy?
Right.
Because you're all over the place. And then finally it just came to the point where, just like you said, we had to start saying no.
You guys start saying no. I mean, even now, like even in 2019, it's saying no to different things, because people will have you be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They'll have you be all over the place, and then you're tired and you can't give to your own children or your own, aunties, grandmas, your own people, because you're everywhere else. And so we have learned, because, it's hard. Like I said, we have the nonprofit, we have the Perfect Family Blend, we had the daycare, and then we were still going out and I was still supporting other people. And it's hard. It wears you out.
It does.
It just drains you. And so it's important to say no. I had to just start being like, no, I'm not available. I can't do it. And the third thing is making sure that you have these things on a calendar.
Whew.
I think the best thing for us happened when we got the Google Calendar.
Yes.
Because at one time, Tony had his own calendar, and then I had my own calendar. And it was like we didn't know what we were doing. And we would try to sync up, but it wouldn't always work, because something would get left off, or I would forget to tell him something, or he would forget to tell me something. And I think even though as frustrating as it is with one car right now, we have one car. So, but the blessing of it is that it enhanced our communication, because we can't be in two different places. So it's kind of like really working together, even though sometimes it's very frustrating. I was like, oh, we need another car. I can't do this.
Right.
Because either I'm saying no to stuff that I want to go to, but I don't have a car to get there because he has somewhere to be. So, but again, even in that, it's the shifting of priorities. Okay, so how do we make that decision that I'm going to not go to my event, but Tony gets to go to his?
Right.
It's usually because we sit down and we say, okay, what is the event? What have we promised? Or why are we going to that? And usually it'll be like, okay, well, since, you were going to serve somewhere and do X, I just won't go to this event.
Right.
And sometimes it's very disappointing.
It is.
It's not always, like, oh, well, I just miss it and it's okay. Sometimes I'm like, dang, I really wanted to go to that, but all right, I'm not going. All right, so fine. And I'm like really upset that I missed it. But it's the priority of this is the decision we made. And sometimes it is. It's just like, what are you doing? Are you just going to participate, or are you actually going because you were going to help somebody? You know what I mean? So that kind of helps us set the priority if you're going to serve, as opposed to just sitting in the audience and being like, taking pictures, right?
Right. And that Google Calendar.
The Google Calendar helps.
It helped out tremendously, because before I even commit to something, I would at least look at the calendar, and if I don't see anything on that particular day, I would still say, let me get back with you, and then I will, check with Sanita to say, hey, I didn't see anything on the calendar, but I'm just checking to make sure that there's nothing going on that day.
Right.
And, just like you said, it just really enhanced our communication, because it was frustrating. I would rush to get home, and get dressed, and then I'm thinking I'm getting ready to go out the door. Then you're like, oh, I got such and such I'm going to.
I got an appointment or something like that.
And I'm just like, so.
Right. It's important. So have a Google Calendar. And even if you're not in a relationship, but you got children, and your children have cell phones, it's easy to keep up with their work schedules. They put their work schedules in. They put those after school activities that they're on. All of that is in there. And it also helps them know where you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So sometimes, if you're going to get your hair done, if you plan on going to the gym, if you plan on going to get your nails done, if you plan on just going out for a walk, if you plan on going out to meet with friends, you got older children so you can leave them. Like, all of that can be placed on the calendar so they know where you are and know that, oh, okay, well, maybe mommy can't go because this is the night she works late. And that's on the calendar because they know that. Or, you can say, oh, look at the calendar. So those are different things. So we are prioritizing by saying no. We are removing things that no longer serve us. And then we are getting a calendar, and we're, being on one accord with each other.
Right.
And so another thing that we were talking about was, how do you, deal with marriage when you got a business? Like, there's a lot of business owners and a lot of, workaholics, right? For lack of a better word, they always at work. They always doing something. They may not be an entrepreneur, but maybe they are executives, or we have a principal, watching. And these are leaders who are in high roles, and they may not always be that traditional 9 to 5. And sometimes when you don't have that traditional 9 to 5 job, or you cut it off and everything is just there until you come in the next day. But it's hard. How do we balance? Because, like I said before, I was working with children all day, and it was just me. So by the time Tony came home after, I still don't really know what Tony did. But I know that his job is demanding. And I always just say he does something with policies and IT. And so I'm just like, and I know he be in a series of meetings all day. But I have been with children all day. And even though, working with the kids, I've been very good at being able to, do some work, things with the Naya's Project and the Perfect Family Blend and, the virtual metamorphosis. All of those things I've been able to do, like when they're taking a nap or if they're doing some free play. I try to maximize my time as much as possible. But again, I'm in the house with a bunch of 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 1-year-olds. So I don't really have anybody to talk to because all my friends at work. They're at work. Shannon, she didn't went on back to work now, so I can't even bother her all day. And at one time, she was working at night, so I still didn't have her, right? And so by the time Tony comes home, he's tired. Okay, he don't want to hear nothing about my plans, my workshops, my classes, my webinars that I done came up with. He's not really trying to make any decisions. He just want to come in, take a shower, eat dinner, and that's it. Like, he just want to sit there, watch Family Feud, whatever, whatever Food Network show we watching, Chopped. He want to just sit there and watch TV. I'm working on materials in school right now. See, like, it never stops. It never stops. And sometimes that has posed a problem in our marriage because I don't know how to cut it off. Because soon as I get an idea, I like, oh, Tony, like, oh, we should do such and such. Well, he's so nice. He is, because sometimes he'll be like, okay, so I know when he does this and he puts his hand on his forehead. All right, what do you need me to do? Right? So he's like on fumes at this point, right? And we've tried, this is trial and error, trial and error, right? Yeah. Because we have dates on our calendar for when we're supposed to talk about Aniah's project and when we're supposed to talk about the Perfect Family Blend and when we're supposed to just talk about our marriage. And so, but we don't do that. And so when we don't do that, it ends up being me talking about it every day. Because I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about Aniah's project. I'm passionate about the Perfect Family Blend because we know that we have tools, strategies, and things that we can do that can really help families. And so I really want to get those things out. But, somebody's calling in?
Somebody calling in?
I don't know. Oh. Yeah, they didn't mean to.
Yeah.
See what Felicia says. She says she's working. She's working on her program and her coursework for her doctoral program and listening to us now. See, you're in school, and we didn't even mention school yet. So when you throw in the fact that Tony's getting ready to go back to school for his theology.
Master's of Divinity.
Yeah, sorry. I just made that up. Masters of Divinity, right? He's getting ready to get his, what they call it, MDiv, right? Mm-hmm. So he's about to get that. And so then that's going to be something else because now your time is even more cut because he's going to have papers he's got to write. He's going to have to read books. So I can't be just like he said when we was at that conference and he was like, I'd be like,
rapid fire,
right? Rapid fire, shooting at him, all my stuff. So it's like, you can't balance that. He can't be like, babe, I give you 8 hours to just sit here and talk to me. Sometimes I only got an hour. Sometimes I got 30 minutes. Sometimes I just have to ask him, is this a good time that we can talk about Aniah's project? Or I need to run these 3 things by you so that we can make a decision on some things. And by doing that, it makes it easier to get my thoughts across to him and him being able to help me make the decisions.
And, I know also for me, when I go to work, just like you said, when I go to work, I barely put my backpack down before I have to go to my very first meeting of the day. And pretty much throughout that whole day is nothing but meetings throughout the day. I even have to sometimes schedule time to just eat lunch because it gets so busy throughout the day. And then not to mention the Metro train ride to work and then the Metro train ride back from work. So I tried my best effort to really, because I understand she's with kids all day long. She can't have an adult conversation with a bunch of 5-year-olds and another toddler. So, so I understand that as soon as I come in, it's a breath of fresh air to her that, you're home. I have an adult that I could talk to, and it's just, and I muster the energy, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta make sure I give her some time. And then of course, it's giving Sunita time, and then it's giving the kids time. Asking them, and they're just like, they don't care. They're just like, Daddy's home. Hey, Daddy, can I get this? Daddy, can I get
a
this?
popsicle? Can I get a cookie? Can I get this? Can I
So
get
they
this?
don't know nothing about
They
Daddy's
don't know nothing
tired.
about no train ride. They think the train is fun.
So it's, again, it goes back to the priorities. My family is a priority as soon as I step through the door. And even though I'm tired, and even though I heard people talk all throughout the day, that's work. I have to give my family some time also. I can't just be like, okay, I'm coming in the door. I'm just going to go upstairs. I'm just going to take a shower. Don't talk to me until it's time to eat.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think it's important to make sure that you have that time, and that's why those calendars come in. But you can have the calendars all day, but if you don't implement them and execute and keep those things, especially when it comes down to your spouse. So again, we was talking about how to manage your time when it comes down to, especially if you're a serialpreneur, or like I said, you're that workaholic, or you have that non-traditional job. How do you cut those things off? Because sometimes we can go too far after going out our grind that we ignore the person that we're close to. And sometimes I have to check myself because I'm trying to hurry up and get this virtual metamorphosis, up and running. But at what expense is that coming? Because sometimes I'm then, ignoring the kids. And I'm like, what? I gotta think. I gotta get this together. Especially if it spills over into their time. So we have to, and when I find myself being that way, I have to say, okay, you know what? Like today, I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. We got the Begin Again brunch coming up on Saturday. Woo, woo. Woo. And I am so excited about that Begin Again brunch because it's all about giving people that experience of letting them know that they can begin again. Mm-hmm. That they don't have to be stuck in a rut. They don't have to, stay in sorrow and grief. And they don't even, you never really move on. You learn to live with. You know what I mean? You don't move on. You can't move on from grief. You don't just, move on. You don't ask anybody. It's just like I tell people, and I heard this TEDx, and I'm going to put it on Anaya's project page too, because she talks about grief. It was a lady that was talking about how she lost her dad. I think she lost her husband first. She lost the baby first, and then I think she lost her husband. Mm. Then, like a month or two later, she lost her dad. And so she just had all these losses. And she was just like, you don't move on. You don't just get over it. You learn to live with it. Mm. And even though years have gone by since all of those things occurred, she has remarried. She's a blended family because she had kids previous, before her baby had passed away, before her husband passed away, they had kids together. And so it's like you don't move on. You just learn to live with it. Right. And those situations make us better and stronger, and they add on a part of our life experience. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it makes us better or it makes us stronger, but it just becomes more of our life walk, so that when and if you do meet the next person, if you're a widow or you got divorced or whatever, that when you meet that next person, those experiences of hurt, we were talking about death in this instance. Those people don't go away just because they passed away. Doesn't mean that they left your life and you just don't know them no more. You don't remember them. So they become a part of who you are. And even with Anaya, 9 years.
Yes.
It's been 9 years. She's still a part of us.
Yes.
And because we had that experience, and even though she's not here, we can't be like, oh, well, because, some people do be like, y'all still talking about that? you still talking about Anaya? Why are you talking about her like she was here for some long period of time? But who says that someone has to be here for a long period of time for you to honor and remember them?
Exactly.
Or for the connection to be strong. You know what I mean? So you never ask somebody who lost their parent, are you still grieving your mom? It's been 9 years, or you still grieving, your aunt, you know what I mean? Or your grandmother. You never really ask those types of questions. And I mean, some people do, but it's not, and it's like the lady said, it's not until your day comes when you have to sit on that front row. Pastor Macklin used to say that all the time, is everybody gonna have that day when you have to sit on that front row and you feel the pain of the people who sat on that front row. When you sitting on the second and third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 10th row in the back, and you not even staying long for the service, you just coming in and showing your face and leaving out, it's different when you're in that position than the position in the front.
Exactly. Because you're looking at it from a rear view mirror perspective, but it's different when you're actually in the driver's seat.
Right. So when you on that front row, you the immediate, that's your mom, that's your aunt, that's your baby, that's your brother or your, godmother, whatever. You on that front row is different than for, some people who just kind of knew the person. Well, I didn't kind of know Anaya. I knew Anaya because she was a part of me and she was a part of Tony. And so therefore the connection is different. And so that's why, again, not deviating from the Begin Again brunch, but that's why. Because we help people know that they're not moving on, they're just learning to live. They're learning to live this new lifestyle, right? They're learning to live with this new normal. Yeah. This is a new normal. This losing a baby or losing multiple babies is a new normal, okay? That's a different mindset that takes somebody who's been through that to understand it. It's just kind of like, so that's why we're passionate about Begin Again Brunch. It's about helping those people know that, because some days people are good. They're in a good space. And then some days it could be anything, a perfume, a color, a commercial with a crib that you was going to buy. It could be the Johnson's baby shampoo, looking at something. Anything can trigger a person. And so they can go from being up here to down here just as quick. And so they need to know that there is a community of people who will help them as they learn this new normal. You never get over it. You're never going to forget. You're never going to ever just stop crying. You may not cry every day. You will stop crying every day. But even with that, sometimes that brings guilt because you're not crying. Because you're not, you might forget something. So that's why we do the Begin Again Brunch. It's to help people know that they can have those three things: hope, love, faith. Right? Yes. And so, again, because I can get, going about that. So that's on Saturday. And what I was saying was, I can be so busy trying to get things together that I push aside the kids that's here.
That's
right?
Good.
Because sometimes we can be so busy trying to do for others and to serve others that sometimes we push those who are the closest away. And I never want, the three that we have in the home to feel like some project or some business thing is bigger or more important than they are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so we've learned over these 8 months that we've had to change and shift the priority because it was weighing on us. It was, it's time consuming. It's financially consuming. It's stressful trying to find, and keep and run these businesses and making sure that we're not neglecting anything. Felicia said, I'm forever grateful for how you were there for my mom when my mommy transitioned. Right, being there for people. We love you, Felicia. We won't be there for you.
We're going to be there.
So it's like you have to, learn to prioritize things and shift things because it's been a hard 2019 for us. You know what I mean? This like real talk for real. So I don't know if y'all listening. This is real talk for us. 2019 has brought a whole level of challenges that we've had to face. And, and sometimes we learn that it ain't always good to just fake it till you make it. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you don't feel like smiling. And, we never wanted this to be, this being the perfect family blend to make people feel like we got it all together, that we don't ever have any real issues or that we don't go through anything. Well, that's a lie.
That's totally unrealistic.
Every marriage go through something. Every relationship go through something. If you by yourself and you're single, you go through something. So we've gone through a plethora of things in 2019 that has made us question, like, okay, God, what in the world are we doing here?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And where is God taking us? And so that's all, we wanted to come on today and just talk about prioritizing. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do everything that you had on that vision board because you came out the gate with these great anticipation, but yet life and God's will may have been something different. And so instead of fighting against the grain, sometimes you got to pause. In 2019, we've had to pause on some things. We had to stop on some things. And we've had to say, you know what? We just not going to do that.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna do that, and you know what? Because we were supposed to do our annual conference this year. We ain't gonna do it. You know why? Because we spent emotionally, we are spent physically, we are spent financially. You know what I mean? And so we're not gonna pull that off. We're not gonna try to hurry up and put something together and just make it work. No. That brings stress, and we're not there. But I guarantee you 2020
we're
definitely going to do a conference in 2020. We have some retreats that we got coming. We need you guys. We need to hear from you guys. What are some things that you need from us? Because, I'm Miss, creative. Tony will catch the vision as I throw it out there. And it's like, he'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do this and do that. Then, yeah, that's good. Or he'll say, let's do a retreat. And then I'll say, oh, that'll be great. But there's no need in planning it if it's not something that you guys are interested in.
Right.
So if it's a one-day symposium, if it's a overnight type of thing, if it's a put together a trip and we all just go somewhere, we can do that. So we want to hear from you on some things that you guys need. What are some things? What are some topics? What are some issues that you guys are dealing with? Because, again, everybody's on their own different things. Every blended family ain't struggling. So,
right.
And it's okay. You know what I mean? If you are struggling, we can talk about the struggle, but we don't always want to be talking about struggles because everybody not having a struggle with their co-parent. And they may have a struggle with each other, but it might not be necessarily with the co-parent. So we don't always, that's why you don't ever really hear us talk a lot about just co-parents. We do a balance, but we also talk about each other.
Each other, right.
Because if you don't have this part strong, if me and Tony ain't strong, then we can't be strong with the co-parent either. You know what I mean? So, let me see. Yeah, so it's important, guys, to just prioritize. And so as we got like 4 minutes left, we just wanted to remind you, this is August. It's a good time to reprioritize your life. If it's not serving your life or your marriage or your relationship or where you're going, don't be afraid to get rid of it. If you need a break, just say no to some things.
Yeah.
One thing going through our board, we have had some phenomenal interviews with some board members. And what I loved the most about one of them was she said, you know what, as much as I love to do it, I reevaluated some things. She too is in a doctoral program. She's like, I can't do it. Time-wise, I cannot commit to it. And I honor that.
And we respected
right?
that.
And so that's going into the saying no. Even when you feel passionate about it. Even when it's something you really want to do. No. Because I can't do it. And if I can't do it with excellence, then it's best not to do it. And then saying no. Saying, what was the other one I said? I said say no. Just looking at making sure you got the calendar so that you guys can stay on one page, on one accord. Because even in Amos, it says, can two walk together unless you agree, right? So the only way you can do that is if y'all know what each other's calendars look like. And then 3, it's just really just being honest about where you are. You know, we've talked about this before when we did the marriage report card. Where we talk about looking at it. And maybe you can expand it to your family and just ask your family how would they grade you as a family? You know what I mean? Where they feel like you are as a family. So we did it as a couple, but maybe if you did those same things, but as a family. Hey, how would you give us a grade on how we're communicating? How would you give us a grade on how we're doing things together? How would you do a grade for, just spending time, together? So really just thinking about those lists and how would your children grade you on that? You know what I mean? Not just you as the mom and dad, but just how do they see the family as a whole? Now, of course, you being the mom and dad, you're going to be held accountable, but still, at least you'll have an idea that they are, where they think. So those are just some things that we wanted to share about prioritizing, because you're never going to balance. Nothing's going to ever be equal.
Right. It's
nothing's
never
ever
going to just be
equal.
like,
right.
That's unrealistic.
We only got 24 hours in a day. You're sleeping for you're supposed to be sleep for 10 of those hours, and then 8 of those hours you are at work. 9 to 11 or 12 of those hours you are at work. So you already only got a few hours to kind of manage the other areas of your life. Right. So, again, but it can be done. Just prioritize and get rid of some things that's not serving you well. So I am Sanita Mitchell.
And I am Tony Mitchell.
And this is In the Mix with the Mitchells, where you can catch us here every Thursday night now at 8:30, from 8:30 to 9:30 on Thursday nights. We thank you for your time. We thank you for listening. We hope that we have said something that has increased your knowledge and just gave you that boost to keep on going, right?
Right.
And so we'll see you this time next week.
All right. And my priority is to go on a date night with this woman right here. So good night. God bless. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you guys for